Tammy, would you come up? Tammy's going to come get the flag from John Russo. And we've got one more plaque come, so if Brian, if you would come up and receive a plaque that is in the honor of your mother and father, John and Nancy Russo. If I could also recognize the people that were responsible for creating this team, all the parents that are sitting up there, you know, the support that you gave those kids when they were playing, the support that you're showing by being here now is incredible. It was always first rate, and obviously it's a continuation of that even now. A couple people that we would like to recognize, you know, among people that fit in right there is Dale Pippin, Sully Ecolano, and Robert Ortez, who are no longer with us. I think one of the things that this team had more than anybody else was chemistry. I mean, we played a lot of good teams, but this team had chemistry. And it didn't matter what happened, how it happened, what the score was. This team, whether the score was 10-9 or if it was 1-0, one way or the other, this team was going to find a way to beat you. And what happened when we look at that, we gave up 31 runs all year in a 22-game season. And we beat Waterloo during the season 10-9. So that means the other 21 games, we gave up 21 runs. Think about that for a second. If you know baseball, that's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. And Dale Carnegie said, destiny is not a matter of chance, it's a matter of choice. And what this team did, after they lost the year before, they were that upset that they were going to make sure that it didn't happen again. And so what we decided was our slogan, so to speak. Every time we would go in or come out at the end of an inning, when the team would come together, it was not, you know, let's go or team or hard work or anything like that. It was destiny. And that was back in 1994. This thing is still true to this day. And you know, it's just amazing the way how close they are. I mean, it's amazing that all 15 of them are here. I think one thing that, and JJ Newman's going to get up and say a couple words when I get done, but I would be remiss if I didn't speak to John tonight. He may have been the MVP, he may have been the player of the year in the league, but he was more than that to this team. He was the captain, he was a leader, and if he was here, he'd be standing right next to me now because I know he would be their choice to speak in their honor. Special thanks to Joe Iconis for all of his hard work and his loyalty and his faith to this team. And finally, before I give it over to JJ for a second, I'd like to just send my message to this team. It might be some things that we might talk about after a game when we go into the locker room. Usually kids will go home after a game. This team didn't want to do that. They wanted to stay in the locker room. They wanted to sit and they wanted to make sure we had everything taken care of from the day, that day. Everybody understood what mistakes they might have made, the things that we did right, so that when we came back the next day, whether it was practice or a game, it didn't matter. They had closure on the day before. And they were ready to play the next day. And they always were. So what I'd like to say to them is that it's been a long wait, but it's always been your destiny to be here. You're finally here. Enjoy it. It's a legacy that you'll always have together. I'm proud of each and every one of you. Thank you.
My name is JJ Newman. I'm a proud member of the '94 championship team. And I want to start by congratulating two of our men tonight. Al, it was a privilege playing with you. I want to say that as a team, it was a privilege playing alongside you. And Coach Spader, it was always an honor that you were our coach. So thank you very much. And you see us up here, and as Coach Spader said, our team was far larger than the players that are up here right now. It was our families, it was our parents, and one of the things as a player, when you looked up in the stands and you saw your own mom and dad, it felt like you had so many more caring about you, rooting for you. And I'd like to again acknowledge Mrs. Fifth and Mr. Equano, Mr. Ortiz. They were a staple in what we were, and they would enjoy tonight very, very much. And one person who, as Coach Spader said, would absolutely be the person up here speaking on our behalf, taking all the pressure off myself, I might add. It would have been nice. But Johnny would have absolutely been the one speaking on our behalf tonight, and he did have the opportunity to speak at this podium a few years ago when he was inducted for his individual performance as both a baseball and basketball player. And I came and supported Johnny that night, and I remember in his speech, even though that he was being inducted based on individual merit, he didn't speak about himself hardly at all. What he said was his teams and his teammates made him what he was as a player. His life was easier because of his teammates. And as a team, I would like to say that the opposite is true. Johnny was what we wanted to be. We were what we were as a team because of John. And it's rare that you can find a role model that is your age or maybe younger than you, especially as a teenager. And Johnny was our role model. And if you look at us, we're a diverse bunch. And to have somebody lead us the way that he did was absolutely saying something. We always looked at him as our leader. And I'd like to end on a bit of a light note and tell one of my favorite Johnny Russo stories that kind of combines both the championship game and will give you an idea of what Johnny felt about himself and the confidence that he had in the player. Because if anybody knows Johnny, he never lacked confidence. So the championship game happened. We won 1-0, and we found out a week later that it was going to be on the local public access network. Now, in a day before YouTube, cell phones, Facebook, where everybody is being documented all the time, this is a pretty big deal. So we all got together and watched it. Now there was a lot of very, very good plays in that game. Al Sellers had a diving catch in right field. Ahmed picked 2 people off second base, which is unheard of. Scott Urbano had the game-winning hit. And I, in my humble opinion, may have made the best play any high school third baseman ever made. So obviously when the game was being played, I was looking very forward to not only watching this play, but for the 4 million other people that happen to be watching and the countless Major League Baseball scouts to know the name, JJ Newman. So the game started, innings passed, and it was finally my moment to shine. I was like, everybody's gonna know my name, this is gonna be the most amazing play ever. And the play started to unfold, and I was like, it was as beautiful as I remembered. It was a ground ball up the middle, off Ahmed's glove, and I came out of nowhere, scooped it, gunned it to first base for the out, and the announcer says, "And what a play by John Russo!" I was absolutely devastated. And everybody else laughed hysterically. And who was laughing the hardest? Johnny Russo. And to this day, I will never forget the words of comfort my good friend had for me. He came over to me with that big Johnny Russo smile and that big Johnny Russo laugh, and he puts his arm around me and he says, "Jay, what did you expect? I make great plays like that all the time." Of course the announcer thought it was me. And I didn't expect anything less from him. I knew that exactly what he would say in a moment like that. And even though we miss him dearly, and he would have loved tonight probably more than anybody, those are the stories that we're going to share. And we're going to reminisce, and we're going to choose happy the same way Johnny did throughout his fight. And that's what we're going to do tonight. So thank you so much for the committee for this honor, and congratulations to all those being inducted. Thank you.
That's a tough act to follow, really. As a friend and neighbor, and a person that's watched from afar and then was invited into the community to be part of this ride, these kids and you people are dynamite. We had somebody come up to me tonight and say, nobody does it in Geneva. I started 2 Hall of Fames before I came to Geneva. One at Williamson, the one at Waterloo. And I'm telling you folks, there's nothing like Geneva. There really isn't. And I'm a kid from Long Island, and I'm telling you, this is the place to be. Geneva. Congratulations.
This concludes our wonderful extravaganza. Ladies and gentlemen, one thing. There's one person that does more than anybody else to put this on. Please give a round of applause to Mr. Steve Muzzy. Steve Muzzy is the Geneva Sports Hall of Fame. We sincerely thank you for coming. May God bless you with peace, love, and miracles. See you again in a couple of years.